And hello everyone. So, let me start off by apologizing for the lack of videos over the past several weeks. It's been a busy few weeks for me, and I've also had some technical difficulties with my computer, and still getting used to my recording software. I made an approach into... Actually, I did this flight previously, and I forgot to record the microphone on the landing. And, I thought about doing a voiceover, but I don't like videos so I figured I wouldn't do a video like that. But regardless, so I do apologize for that. And going forward, I'm going to try to get a few more flights going, but that's barring what happens with other things as well, namely work. So, with that aside, figured I would do this video. So earlier this week, the Majestic Q400 Professional Edition came out, and that's actually what we're in today. So this is brand new with working circuit breakers and everything like that. So it's a bit of a treat. And we're here on the ground in Vancouver. I have GSX doing the boarding now. Just figured to make for some nice something to look at while we're sitting here talking. But yes, we're going to be going to Kelowna today, over top of the mountains. I've always enjoyed the Rocky Mountains. I actually grew up on the other side of the Rocky Mountains in Calgary, and I've just always enjoyed the scenic views. In fact, I think one of my upcoming videos is going to be me doing a flight in a Cessna 172 or 182, one of those two, from A to A, and just show the mountains that I know and the mountains that I've really enjoyed, up through Banff and, down through, kind of following Highway 93 into the Invermere Valley there, or the Columbia Valley, I think it is, down through Radium, and then maybe go land at Invermere or one of the airports down there. But that's for later. So I think I've done enough rambling. Let's go into the cockpit. I've done a little bit of setting up. I've mostly done the boring stuff. So, first off, let's take a look at the fuel. We have a zero fuel weight today of 54,041 pounds. And we are taking we're taking 5,979 pounds, or 78's been loaded right now, with us today. So, I don't know why I closed that. So we're going to be taking off of runway 26 left. I'll go over our departure plan in a second here with Navigraph charts. But regardless, so after takeoff, we're going to be going to the Vancouver VOR there. We're going to be taking Jetway 486 down to Lytton. And then, so I've pre-programmed the arrival. I'll probably go with you again, showing you the charts for that a little bit later into the flight. But for now, I've also entered our V speeds. So Virtual Air Canada has given us a V1 of 124, rotate of 124 as well, and a V2 of 130. I've also looked up that, or done from previous flights, know that our flaps reduction speed from flaps 5 is 141 knots, and a climb speed of 151 knots. Our barometric pressure is 3004 inches of mercury today. That's already been set, so what we'll do is we'll do a little bit of setup. So first things first, we're going to start up the APU, since we don't have the GPU connected. So we'll just wait a second for that to come on. Actually, what we should do quickly is do the APU fire test. Give her a start there. I guess I interrupted that. Whoops. But yes, so failures are enabled here, so it is important to make sure you do your tests. Just waiting for the generator light to come on there. Should in a second here. One of the things I love about Majestic is the nice classical music they play for you while you're setting up. But yeah, so our APU is now on, so what we'll do is we'll move the main bus tie to tied, turn the engine intakes on. So we also have the heads-up display here. I want to turn that to normal. It's kind of in the way there, but that's fine. But yeah, so we've already done the APU test, so what we'll do is we'll do the engine fire tests, as well as the cargo compartment fire tests. Everything looks good there. You're just making sure you see all the lights and the dings there. Pedostatics are off, boot air is off. These are fine as well. Our landing exterior lights are fine. Turn the beacon to red, position lights on. I know you're supposed to go top down, but I like to snake my way through. Takeoff, or landing altitude is about there. Double check it once we're in flight. Engine start switches come to normal. APU is already on. Panel lights are fine. AC control generator 1 and 2 are on. External power is off. APU, air conditioning are off. Bleeds can come to minimum. Packs can stay on auto. And we'll turn on those. Emergency lights are armed. Coming across here, that is in taxi, which is what we want for here. We'll deal with the autopilot a little bit later. What we'll do is we'll just run a quick test of those. Thing looks good. And we'll do the Christmas tree light test. So this just turns on every light in the cockpit. So that way you can see if there's any dead bulbs or anything like that. I don't think these are modeled, but it's always fun too. So yeah, nose wheel steering can come off. What we can do is we can test those out there. So what that was is that was the overspeed, underspeed, and the takeoff warning test. And then I think we're good for the moment. So I'm going to get GSX ready for the pushback. Boarding is completed. We're going to be going to nose right there. No engines before start. And while that's doing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go show you. Alright, so this is the chart. Right now we're parked along right along here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come along Juliet, come down to Hotel, to Delta, and then we'll probably do D5, because we're probably going to be taken off by here. It's a fairly large runway. I've also reset GSX because there was something else I wanted to show you there that I forgot about. But yes, anyways, our departure, fairly simple departure. Taking off runway 26 left, climb at a heading of 263, and then we'll vector ourselves around to the YVR radial, or VOR there, and then continue on. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to redo that. Nose right, no. Just because what I've done is I found a GSX voice pack done by someone. I'll put a link in the description below, but it just sounds so much better than the robotic stock GSX one.
Flight deck, this is ground crew. Stand by for pushback.
Sounds so much better. Wants me to close some exits. Just go on the doors page. There we go. All the doors are done. So we'll just do some before start flows here. Seatbelt signs are on, emergency lights are on. They should be armed. Beacon is red, doors are closed, APU bleed is off, and engine number 2 will be cleared.
Here. Departure check is complete. Nose gear steering disconnected. Bypass pin is inserted. Release parking brakes. Okay, here we go. We are clear behind the aircraft and safe to start engine. Thank you for discretion.
Thank you. So, we'll start number 2. We have some rotation there, so we'll feed in fuel. I have these mapped to axes on my quadrant. Just makes life a little easier, I find. What we're doing is we're waiting for starter cutout. Which is there. Starting 1. Alright, so we've got 2 clean starts, so I'm just going to wait for GSX to finish pushing us back. This is when it starts to get really loud in my ear, so I apologize if I'm talking a little bit louder. Yeah, I'm still using the MyTraffic 6 models, so you know I don't really have any control over them. They just kind of stay out of my way.
Set parking brakes, please.
Alright, what we'll do is we'll turn those on. Turn the bleeds on. Props and go to max. Move the flaps to 5.
No vehicles disconnected. Bypass pin removed.
Main bus tie can come off. APU can come off. Those are all good. Move the nav sources over to pink needles.
And Captain, left is clear. Right is clear. We're all clear behind the aircraft.
We'll just turn the transponder on just so we can see other aircraft along the ground.
Clear behind the aircraft and safe to start engines.
Yes, and all the hydraulic pumps can come on. What we'll do is we'll test the standby system 3. Looks good. So, everything looks good. Turn that over to nav. Weather looks pretty good, so I'm not overly worried about the weather. Nice big boy in there. That's, can't really tell what that is, unfortunately. Is that a triple? No. It's a 787. It's got the little Dreamliner. It can be hard to tell with kind of more basic models. But regardless, just need to reset my view there. And I'll see you guys at the runway. So we're starting to come up to the runway here, so what we'll do quickly is we'll chime the cabin. Lights can come on. Turn that over to white. Flaps are set. So I think we're actually good for takeoff here. Hope you enjoyed the little taxi cam there. Transponder is on. See, I don't see anyone on the approach. Approach path is clear. Let's get flying. Turn on heading mode, and we'll preset IS to our 151 there. So when we kick in the autopilot, it's not meddling with it. I've already set up our heading to 263 there as per the departure. What I am going to do as well is just put in... I like to put in 3 clicks of right rudder. Just makes the departure to counteract the torque of full power from the props. It just makes it a little bit easier to fly. So, without further ado, almost lined up there. Away we go. I always forget about the control lock. I'm sure some of you noticed as well that I actually forgot to turn on the nose wheel steering before taxi. You notice that fairly quickly. Steer the thing. V1. 2 there. Positive rate. Gear can come up. I forgot to set an altitude is what I also forgot to do. No ATC, so we'll just start a climb to 10,000. What we'll do is we'll go flaps up as well. Button. There we go. And we'll go direct YVR. Turn to nav mode. And we'll fly her around. Bring the props back to 850 there. For some reason the trim makes the display look a little bit weird there, which is fine. Let's take a look. Alright, now let's get her going. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put her into autopilot since I'm really only half paying attention to flying. Let's get one last wing view look here. So, not much left here to do, but just get ourselves going up here. Hope you all enjoy the flight and enjoy the scenic views. I'll see you on the other side. And hello everyone again. So, we're about 50 miles from top of descent, and I've decided to change the approach up a little bit. I know before I was going to go along runway 34. The winds have actually died down to 2 knots, which is an acceptable tailwind for me. So I'm going to actually be landing on runway 16 with a 2-knot tailwind. The reason I'm doing that is because there's an ILS approach on there, and what that'll actually allow me to do is show you guys this HUD in ILS mode. I haven't tried it out in that kind of approach yet. I haven't had the chance. I have practiced this approach before, actually, so I know it'll work just fine. So, with that, let's go look at the charts. And alright, so we're going to be taking the DATHub 1 RNAV to arrival star into Kelowna here. So we're actually right around here, I believe, where I left you guys off. And then we're going to be flying into here, over into Whitman. And then we'll be doing the ILS-Z approach, modified a little bit, because as you'll see here, they all these come into Whitman at 5,900 feet here, and so we'll actually turn here, at which point so we're really starting to follow this one here and come along 1473 degree glide slope, fairly center. Our minimums are barometric of 2,060 feet. Our airport altitude is 1409, and with a go-around altitude of 9,000. You'll notice there's quite a bit of terrain in here. Well, you know, the Rocky Mountains. So, it's a fairly simple approach. It's actually kind of nice to get a nice view of the valley here. There is going to be a little bit of a terrain issue for me right around the runway of Kelowna. The vector elevation flattening tool doesn't quite work as well as I think it should on Kelowna, but she still looks nice. Still a beautiful approach. So I'll just bring you guys back closer to top of descent. All right, as you can see, we're about 13 miles from top of descent here, so it's time to start getting ready. Some nice fluffy stuff here has given us some ice, so it's going to move that to fast. Yeah, we'll start getting ready for descent. So what we'll first do is we'll turn the hydraulic and fuel pumps on. We don't need auto feather for landing. Let's see what else we need to do. Electrics are all good. Bring the bleeds to... we'll leave them for normal for a little bit longer. So what that does is it keeps the cabin cooler a little bit better. But when you need the power in the engines. So we're going to leave those here for now. Still have that ice warning. Don't really want to cut the video at this point because it's, you know, I'm only cutting in like 5 minutes intervals at this point, so I'm just going to try and keep talking. Coming over the mountains here, a little bit of snow. It'd make for an interesting approach. The weather right now is it's 1 degree centigrade above 0 at Kelowna with a dew point of -3. No reported precipitation. Pressure is a 3015. Let's set that. 3015. Correct ourselves here. Just lower our altitude down to 5900, I believe it is. Arm VNav. Bring in the throttles. Quite a bit here. Don't really want to overspeed. That would not be good. There we go. Speed's starting to come down there a little bit now, which is what we want. So, you'll notice something I discovered in the middle of the flight is you'll notice this bar. Right now it's not clickable, but the alternate gear extension does actually work. So if I were to click it now, it would start pumping the hydraulics. Not something I want to mess with around here. Also, all the circuit breakers are functional there. If you click one, you get a nice pop-out panel. It's a little bit hard to click because you have to click near the edges to close it, but that's fine. Coming down to 1500 feet. What we'll do is we'll turn on the fasten seatbelts now, get everyone seated. Coming down through 1400. Just take a look at my papers, make sure I'm not missing anything. Exterior lights as required. What we'll do is just ping the cabin. Standby pumps are on, auxiliary pumps are on. Flap selector. We're going to be doing a flaps 35 landing. And that's good for now. And what we'll actually start to do is tune frequencies as well. Just going to pull up the approach chart quickly. ILS ILS frequency is 111.3. So decimal 3, switch that over. 11.3, and what I'll also do is, so if you press and hold format, you can actually get to this screen here, which we can pre-tune the course to a course of 157. Then you press and hold format to go back. I'm going to do the same for the first officer side. Course 1, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have the weather display on his side. Oops. So we're going to stay on pink needles for now until we get closer, going through 10,000 feet. What I'm going to do is bring the props to max, bleeds to min. Ping the cabin. Ah, apparently I can move the seat back. I know I can move the first officer's seat. Don't know when I click that. Oh, we don't really need the radios anymore anyways, so we're good. Speed's still coming back nicely there. 10,000 feet. Turn the flare lights on. Once we turn this corner, I want to be at about 180 knots, because then we'll pick up the ILS and go over to blue needles. Align the course a little bit better. Oh, no, that's not at all heading. That's what I wanted to align. So I want to make sure that didn't mess up my... Nope, perfect. Didn't think it would, but, you know, better safe than sorry. So we're coming into the valley here. Kelowna is just beyond this ridge here. It's actually really quite a nice valley. When I did this the other day, some of this loaded winter textures, while some of this loaded, you know, all seeing the nice green summer textures. Not that there's an obvious difference in the Rocky Mountains with all the pine trees. But, you know, would expect a little bit more white and bland. Not necessarily bland, but I want to bring the speed back a little bit better here. One of the things about this plane is you have to be on top of the throttles. You know, I get really bad sometimes where I let things get out of control and I just completely forget the throttles. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm actually going to go flaps 5. Just to get a little bit of extra drag. Coming down nicely there. 8,000 feet. I haven't heard the PA announcement go off yet. Maybe it'll go off when we turn the corner. I haven't figured out all the conditions for when they start and stop and run. Let's see, can we go flaps 10 without it getting angry? Nope. So you have to have the gear down to go flaps 10 apparently. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this over to blue needles once we start to see those alive. What I'll actually do is... Actually, what I can do now is just go heading and then bring the nav source and arm approach. So I'm just holding the heading. As you can see, the trim is slightly off. Because the trim needs vary depending on how much power you have. Coming down to about 170 knots now, which is what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put her in vertical speed mode. There we go. And just nose her up a little bit, just so we hit the glide slope. So we're coming down now. Gear can come down. Give her a little bit of power. Come flaps 10 as well. And what I'll actually do is I'll bring the HUD down here. So as you can see, it looks fairly standard. We can see the glide slope, our speed. We have a V approach speed of 127 knots and a V approach or a V ref. It's a V ref of 120, so we want to be around 130, between 130 and 135 on the approach. But we'll see how well that actually happens. And then a climb speed of 148 if we need to. So, we've captured the localizer, should be capturing the glide slope here. Don't know why that didn't catch. So you'll see a 3-degree line here. Come back on the power as we start to descend. Come another stage of flaps.
2,500.
Yeah, we're going to be hearing that a little bit because of this nice hill here. What we'll actually do is we'll go full flaps. And we'll just take a look at this. Something I haven't done is put in the runway altitude of, to do that quickly, 1409. In a second here, we should see it start to go to the approach mode. So we can start to see the runway off in the distance there. I forgot to set the minimums. See if I can't do that quickly as well. Whoops, that's my bad. Get rid of the decision height. DMA, MDA, 1000, 2060. There we go. So it's supposed to show a little icon of the runway here. Because I can't quite set the runway length, it's not quite 100% accurate. What we do need to do is slow down a fair bit here. Speed's coming down nicely. 5 miles out. So the nice thing about this is every bit of information you need is all right here. You know, we got our ground speed, our heading. Well, that's what our heading is set to. And so then what here is this little chevron is our attitude. This little guy here is our approach path vector. And this is not 100% sure what this is. This is related to our speed. Our speed error is what I've heard it referred to as. I think what this shows is our acceleration in the speed. But then we've got a 3-degree line slope here. Capture the localizer glide slope. The complete auto land is armed. However, momentarily here, once I get my feet on my pedals, I'm going to take her over. And we seem fairly well established. All of our checklists have been completed, so I think we're good to land. So we just passed our minimums, we're landing. Everything is visual. A little bit low on the glide slope. Sometimes you get stutters like that, which throw me off a little bit. Off by a little bit low. It's going to ignore the trees there.
100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Bit of a rough landing there. Like I said, I haven't quite gotten used to this. Just going to go full reverse here because I want to take the next exit. So there's 50 knots. What we'll do is bring that in taxi, bring in the control lock. So all in all, not a terrible landing. You've definitely done better, but 30 knots. Trying to slow down for this corner a little bit more. There we go. Oh, too tight. Whoops, 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 whoops. My bad. Really gotta get my track IR going. I do have it. I have track IR. It's just sometimes a little bit finicky for me. Let's have a little fun with this spot. Come in off the side here. Just come in here. So what we'll do is we'll set the parking brake. We'll bring the flaps up, turn the transponder off.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. For some last name of the
And we'll feather the props while we start up the APU, because I really should have done that beforehand. What we can do is we can turn the pitos off. Window heat can come off, that can come off, that can come off. Along with those, main bus tie can go to tie, external power can stay off, exterior lights can come off. Turn the beacon to red. Position lights can stay on for the moment. Once the APU's on, just finish the flows because you need to leave the feathers for at least 30 seconds. Bleeds can come off. Turn the fasten seatbelt sign off. Generator is on. So what we'll do is we will cut the engines. Off the fuel pumps, hydraulics.
Gentlemen, we've just started our approach. We would kindly ask you to fasten your seatbelts again and turn off all your electronic equipment.
I think it's a little bit late for the approach. But, oops. Shift E is what I wanted there. Main exit's open, everyone's deboarding. We'll get everyone's baggage off. And everything looks good in here. Transponder off. That's meant to do that a minute ago. Whoops. Those wheel steering can come off as well. Beacon come off. Put the position lights on. I think everything else is good and ready for the next flight. So, I hope you all enjoyed that. You know, get everyone's baggage off. Hope you enjoyed the flight, enjoyed the scenic view of the mountains. And there's what I was talking about with the terrain a little bit. I also think it thinks the runway is a little bit farther to the right. Don't quite know. Could be the add-on scenery I'm using. I'm using SimAddons Kelowna. But yeah. Hope everyone enjoyed the flight. Wishing you all blue skies and tailwinds. See you in the next time.